At the beginning of the 80s, as the United Kingdom arches under the icy winds of crisis and reforms, another front is forming, invisible, on the tarmac of the runways and in the concrete entrails of the airports. There, planes moan, engines roar, and under the pallid spotlights of the freight zones, another circulation reigns. It is not only suitcases and ordinary cargo that slide along the conveyor belts. These are fortunes. Gold, silver, diamonds, currencies piled up like little walls of paper. To the west of London, Heathrow Airport breathes night and day. Opened in 1946, it has grown like a patient monster, swallowing up millions of travelers and thousands of tons of goods each year. At the beginning of the 1980s, it is one of the beating hearts of Europe. Its terminals buzz with mingled tongues, its runways sparkle under the headlights of Boeings, its corridors echo with the hurried steps of businessmen, children's cries, and the metallic announcements snapping from the loudspeakers. But Heathrow's real secret hides far from the departure halls, in the closed territory of freight. There, in the south of the complex, toward Southall, buildings of brick, steel, and concrete stand watch in silence. Between these walls lies a particular sanctuary, the Brink's-Mat Depot. For behind this name stand two allied forces. Brinks, an international giant in valuables transport, an army in navy blue uniforms, armored trucks, precise routines. Mat Transport, a British company hardened on the roads, the docks, the warehouses. Together, under the shared banner of Brink's-Mat, they guard what the world covets most: the precious metals of banks and institutions, rare jewelry, currencies. Their depot at Heathrow is a modern fortress, planted in the middle of the southern freight maze, at the heart of a labyrinth of hangars, parking lots, barriers, and gates. The rules there are strict. The doors are armored, heavy as promises of eternity. The corridors are watched by uniformed guards who circulate according to calculated schedules. The alarms keep watch, silent but ready to scream at the first steps of an intruder. Access is filtered, controlled, logged. The vaults plunge into the bowels of the building, arranged like cells in a hive of concrete and steel. The official reports, the accounts of later years will say it. For the time, the depot follows procedures the kingdom deems solid, modern, reassuring. Yet around these walls, a shadow is closing in. For at the same time, in London and throughout the southeast of England, another industry is thriving: that of robbers. Organized gangs, seasoned in armed robbery, in attacks on valuables depots, in ambushes against armored trucks. These men know police routines, corporate weaknesses, the timetables of cash transports. The archives of Scotland Yard and the newspapers of the period bear witness. Since the 70s, a generation of professional criminals has emerged, cold, methodical, determined. In the Brink's-Mat Depot at Heathrow, every night, guards take turns. They clock in, sign, check the locks, watch the screens, pace the corridors. Among them stands Anthony "Tony" Black, a young man with eyes hollowed out by the night, employed as a security guard. He wears the uniform, he knows the codes, the routines, the off-peak hours, the blind spots. He knows which keys open which airlocks, which buttons disarm which zones. In the company records, he is just one more name. But in the weave of fate, he becomes a pivot. For Tony Black is not only a guard. He is also the fiancé of the sister of a man the police already know: Brian Robinson. A seasoned criminal marked by Scotland Yard's files, by informers' whispers, by the archives of the flying squad, that unit that hunts robbers as a disciplined pack hunts game. Robinson stands in the shadows of smoky pubs and rain-soaked parking lots. He listens. He asks questions. He knows that great fortunes do not sleep only in the banks of the city, but also in those remote warehouses where trucks come and go at hours when the city still slumbers. When he learns that his future brother-in-law works at the very heart of a Brinksmat depot at Heathrow, a mechanism is set in motion. Around Robinson gravitates another name, Michael Mickey McAvoy. A man from southeast London, a criminal who wears the hardness of the streets on his face and in his gaze the calculating patience of those who know how to wait for the right opportunity. Later, the judges will say it. He is one of the main organizers of what is to follow. For now, he listens, he weighs things up. He assesses the risks, the potential scale of the job, the number of men required. Beyond this first circle, other figures already exist, in another compartment of the shadows, without their role yet appearing in the light of day. In Bath, John Goldfinger Palmer runs a shop. Jeweler, dealer in precious metals, specialist in recycled gold. In his world, metals come in, go out, are transformed. To the west of London and in Kent, Kenneth Noy, a criminal well-versed in the shady business of precious metals, weaves his own networks. The police will later connect their names to the melting down and laundering of the gold. But on this November 1983 eve, these men still live in the half-light of the wings, far from the Heathrow depot. Like chess pieces, an invisible hand will soon move forward. In the depot, Tony Black carries out his rounds. He opens doors. He sees documents. He hears conversations. He passes the trucks that drop off shipments and those that leave empty, significantly lighter. The weeks go by, and, like a spark seeking its home, an idea takes shape in his mind. One evening, somewhere, far from the uniforms, he talks. He mentions the vaults, the schedules, the alarms. He describes to Brian Robinson the layout of the premises, the staffing. The idea becomes clearer, more concrete, takes on flesh. The guard becomes the inside man. Man on the inside. Silent traitor with red, tired eyes, who finally yields to the call of a fortune unreachable by honest means. Black provides details, the security procedures, the number of guards per shift, the location of the main vaults, the alarm codes, the hours when the depot is most vulnerable, when the corridors are empty, when the radios sink into routine. He also talks about the shipments, because as the days pass, he learns, like the others, what comes in, what goes out. And in the second half of November 1983, a piece of information lands, heavy as a sentence. An exceptional shipment of precious metals has arrived. For now, this shipment sleeps behind the metal doors of the Brinksmat depot. 6,800 gold bars. Standardized market ingots. Stamped. Numbered. Their total weight is close to 3 tons. They belong to Johnson Matthey Bankers Limited, a bank at the very heart of London's precious metals trade, an institution linked to the gold market dominated by the London Bullion Market Association. Around these bars are added diamonds, glittering in the dark of the vaults, and bundles of cash, carefully wrapped. In 1983, the gold in this shipment is worth about £26 million sterling. In re-evaluated value, decades later, more than 90 million. To this sum are added the precious stones, the banknotes, a treasure. Loot on the scale of robberies that pass into legend. By contract, Brinksmat is liable for it. The company assumes responsibility for guarding these riches. It deploys its guards, its procedures, its locks. But paperwork does not protect against human weakness. The depot keeps watch, but does not suspect that the breach is not in its locks or its walls. It lies in the soul of one of its own employees. Because Black now speaks with precision. He tells Robinson that in these days leading up to November 26th, the vaults contain more than usual. He describes the location of the ingots, the activity around them. He sketches, in the invisible space before the eyes of Robinson and McAvoy, the mental map of the depot. He gives the keys to a kingdom he is supposed to protect. Robinson and McAvoy, along with others whose names will not all be etched into media coverage, go hunting. They head to the Heathrow area. They observe the South Freight sector, the entrances, the exits, the gates, the patrols of security vehicles, the cameras, the guard posts, the blind spots. They identify the moments when traffic thins out, when eyes grow tired, when men switch to autopilot. They get hold of firearms, pistols, rifles, enough to freeze any courage in seconds. They stockpile masks to hide their faces, gloves to leave no trace, rolls of tape to silence, tie up, immobilize. They store cans of gasoline, a silent weapon meant not to burn vaults, but to terrorize guards. They make sure they have vehicles, including at least one sturdy van capable of swallowing a massive haul and carrying it off into the night. In their minds, the plan at the outset has nothing of a mythical large-scale gold heist. They are aiming for a classic, though daring, robbery. Cash, jewelry, assets easy to hide, easy to fence. At least that is what they will later claim, in court, in the cold light of the hearings. The investigators, in their reports, will note this assertion. The robbers supposedly had not anticipated the scale of the gold shipment. They had believed they were targeting an ordinary depot. Rich, certainly, but not titanic. London, all around them, is undergoing a brutal transformation. Margaret Thatcher has been in power since 1979. Mines are closing. Factories are faltering. Financial markets are going wild. Reforms are deregulating. Capital moves faster, farther. The city is preparing to become a global financial forge. The flows of gold, silver, and currencies use Heathrow as one of their transit points. The London Bullion Market Association governs this trade in the yellow metal, in which Johnson Matthey Bankers plays a central role. The sums that pass through are colossal, abstract, often invisible to the ordinary citizen. Only the banks, traders, and cash-in-transit companies truly grasp what is moving every night under the spotlights of the airports. In this ferment, organized crime is watching. It senses a weakness. In London, highly publicized attacks on depots and armored vans regularly make headlines. The Times, The Guardian, the BBC, ITV all report these spectacular heists, these chases, these arrests. The security of cash and valuables in transit is becoming a recurring topic in the corridors of Scotland Yard. The police know. Around the flows of money, around the gold bars, there are men prepared to do anything. Robinson and McAvoy finalize their team. At least 6 men, perhaps 8. All armed, all determined. Each is promised a share of the loot. The exact amount will depend on what they find, but they all feel the risk is worth it. The inside man plays in their favor. Black has talked. Black will talk again. In the last days of November, the Brinksmat Depot lives in the same routine as usual. Trucks arrive and leave. Guards sign, stamp, keep watch. Johnson Matthey Bankers' gold bars sleep in the metallic cold of the vaults. Under the harsh lights, the gold reflects flashes that no uninitiated eye ever sees. And yet, the air is thickening. In the London sky, there is that mixture of mist and wind that heralds winter. In the streets, shop windows are starting to prepare for Christmas. In the newspapers, editorials debate Thatcher's policies, social tensions, past riots, unemployment. No one is yet mentioning the name Brinksmat. No one knows that the history of British crime is about to tip over. At the heart of this deceptive calm, one man continues to pass through the depot doors every day. Anthony Tony Black. In the logs, he merely shows up for his shift. In reality, he carries within him the plan, the schedules, the codes. He knows the gold shipment is there. He knows that men outside are counting on him to guide them at the precise moment to the exact second. The robbers have weapons, masks, gloves, tape, gasoline, vehicles. They have the information from a guard who has betrayed them. They have the airport as a backdrop. They have a depot as their target. In front of them is a shipment of 6,800 gold bars whose scale they may not yet grasp. As they prepare to pass through the gates of Brinksmat in the early morning of November 26, 1983, they are not just about to pull off one of the biggest heists in British history. They are about to open a breach that will let the gold spread out, melted down, laundered, reinvested into the dark circuits of the world. They are about to give birth to a legend of metal and blood, whose echo will haunt the police, the courts, and even future generations of criminals.